Hello, my name is Andrew, and I am making my public announcement that I am walking away from the left. This hashtag walkaway is a movement where people are waking up and realizing that the left is no longer reasonable, credible, or decent. And I decided to lend my face and name and voice to this movement because I believe that a great injustice is taking place in America right now. And I am making this video just out of nowhere. I've never thought of uploading a video to YouTube ever, but what's happened in the past few weeks with Brett Kavanaugh has compelled me to speak up and join the ranks. So what I mean by my title, "The Left Needs to be Defeated," is that the left needs to be exposed for what they are, for their radicalism, for their extremism. And radicalism exists on both sides, both left and the right, but the left has successfully disguised its radicalism and snuck that radicalism into academia and popular culture, where young minds that are so malleable to dogma are being brainwashed through the exploitation of their youthful passion. And I believe that I too was once a victim of this. And a lot of people in my age group, people who were in college, people who are in college, people who graduated college recently, a lot of us are still in that bubble. And I think that's really one of the fundamental problems of the youth, because they're not willing to take the initiative to do their own research. They allow their passion to just drive their logical thinking. And by doing that, you're creating an echo chamber where other ideas are never being discussed. So anyways, for myself, I began this journey of going from the left to the right in the past 2 years. And it really began when Donald Trump was elected. I was an ardent Bernie Sanders supporter. So as a Sanders supporter, I was first crushed by the DNC doing what they did to Bernie. And I was crushed again by seeing Trump in the White House. And I really cannot understand why someone so unqualified was able to become president of this country. So I made it my mission to do my own research to see how this could have happened and why it happened. And through that research, I came across a lot of people that were able to change my mind and really expose the flaws in my logical thinking. And the first person that really planted that seed was Dr. Jordan Peterson. Dr. Peterson became a world-renowned intellectual in the past few years because of his stance on compelled speech in Canada. And Dr. Peterson really opened my eyes to the importance of free speech, which the left hates, and the evils of socialism, which the left loves. And looking back on it now, I was a full-fledged socialist without knowing my history about socialism. And of course, I was getting all my news from the Young Turks on YouTube, CNN, ABC, MSNBC, the New York Times, Huffington Post, and so on. So they just hammered this notion into my brain that socialism is good, that it's moral, that it works in other countries. If it works in Scandinavia, why wouldn't it work here? And it was just this groupthink that just kept me under, and it was also their rhetoric on conservatives of this country by labeling them as racist, misogynistic, sexist, uneducated, and etc. So, and therefore, whatever they stood for was ultimately coming from an immoral perspective. And through Dr. Jordan Peterson, I was exposed to other thinkers like Jonathan Haidt and Ben Shapiro, who really exposed the college system as a breeding ground for leftist drones. So I guess there really wasn't a specific point or one single instance that severed my ties with the left, but it was a gradual process of listening to all these people that were challenging my worldviews and challenging my logical thinking. But I guess if I have to choose one instance, it was this summer, and it came from an Korean American writer at the New York Times named Sarah Jung. And Sarah Jung she's a Korean immigrant like myself, and I was just disgusted and embarrassed that she represented my people. So what she did was, while she was attending Harvard Law School, and thereafter she went on Twitter and unleashed a barrage of racist and cruel tweets against the white people, especially old white men. And this really angered me. This really angered me as a Korean immigrant, because if Sarah knew the history of what happened between South Korea and America 70 years ago, maybe she wouldn't have said that. Or if she knew the history, which I'm assuming she did because she went to Harvard, while still knowing the history, for her to be racist and cruel towards old white men just shows that she's not a moral person. 70 years ago, when South Korea was about to be annihilated by communist North Korea, it was America that sent troops to South Korea to defend freedom in our country. And because of America, our ancestors were able to give birth to our parents, who were able to come to this country, to America, to give opportunity for people like me and Sarah Jung. So if you know the history, how could you say those kind of things against old white men? Those same old white men were the same young white men that were being drafted, fighting a war in a foreign soil, in a country that they've never even heard of. That's America. That's the spirit of America. But Sarah Jung, in her leftist, brainwashed, hateful thinking, she had the audacity to call out old white men saying those things that she did. So I guess that was really my final straw with the left, because what the left did with Sarah Jung was they ended up defending her and her tweets, and they somehow even managed to turn that situation around against white people, saying that her tweets were a mere retaliation against online racist bullying. So that's when I realized, like, this is what the left will do. They will not admit their wrongdoings. They will not ever take any condemnation seriously, and they'll refute anything that comes their way. And isn't that a perfect example of echo chamber? They're not willing to discuss other ideas or listen to other people. And I believe that's the spirit of fascism. And I cannot participate in this fascistic ideology. And it hurts me to see so many young people being exploited for their youthful passion by the left, because the left knows that the youth, we don't know anything. We don't know much. We haven't lived enough to know the things that happened in the past and what happens in the world. The left knows this, and they take advantage of that circumstance. So yeah, so I guess that's my walkaway story. There's so many things that I could say and want to say, especially on Kavanaugh. But I think for now, I think that was my story on how I was able to walk away from the left. Thanks for watching.